The Earth, as I'm sure much of your audience knows, is going through what we call an ascension process, literally ascending, moving up dramatically in vibration. It's my understanding that Earth and everybody on the Earth has already ascended from the third dimension, or what really should be called third density, into fourth density. And we're on our way to fifth density, which is a vibration of unconditional love and oneness consciousness. That's the same vibration as the other side, our non-physical home. So we're actually going, those who stay on the planet are actually going home while staying in a physical body. So this is a universal event. The whole universe is ascending. And it's my understanding that to be in a body on Earth during an ascension lifetime is such an honor and such an amazing learning opportunity that there were actually approximately three times as many souls who wanted to be here now as available bodies. So you had to make a 1 in 3 cut in order to be here now. The reason I like people to know about this is that I think there's a very widespread human tendency to feel small, weak, powerless, helpless, insignificant, to think that your life doesn't matter, to think that you can't really make much of a difference in the world. Nothing could be further from the truth. The way they made that decision as to the 1 in 3 cut, you had to have something specific to offer the ascension process in order to be chosen to be in a body on Earth at this time. Now, maybe you know what that is, maybe you don't, but just know that you made a 1 in 3 cut to be here, and you were chosen because you have something specific to offer humanity's ascension process.
How do we go about uncovering our gifts in these lifetimes?
Well, of course, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to say the between lives soul regression. Ask your counsel, and they will tell you they love to answer that question. But another way would just be to look at the things that naturally excite and interest you. You will naturally be drawn to the things that will utilize your gifts. Any activity that creates joy for you, there's something there that's part of your pre-birth plan. Look for something that I call time distortion. Time distortion is what happens when, and I'm sure everybody's had this experience, you're engaged in some activity that you really love doing, and you're so present in it, you're so immersed in it, that it feels to you like only 10 minutes have gone by, and yet when you look at the clock, it's 2 hours later. Everybody has had this experience with something. Whatever that is that's causing that kind of time distortion, there's something there that is utilizing your gifts as a soul. There's something important there that's connected to your pre-birth plans.
And how do we uncover what our mission is?
Well, again, you could ask your counsel of elders in a between lives soul regression. But intuition, again, what are you naturally excited about? What are you naturally interested in? What causes joy? What causes time distortion? Another way to answer that question would be to say, if you were independently wealthy and you could spend your time doing anything you wanted to do, what would you do for free? Whatever that is, it's probably something that is related to your mission in some way.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I do wonder, because there is I find crudely, like having spoken to so many people on the podcast, that also that their challenges also reveal parts of their gifts and their mission as well. It's almost like the parts that they go through to overcome, they invariably can end up supporting other people. I don't want to say downwind from there, but there's probably a better way to articulate that as well. So it's really interesting for those people that are potentially still at the idea of between lives regression and might be holding on to some level of healthy skepticism. What do you say to those people?
Well, here's an interesting story. A number of years ago, I did a workshop in Spain, a group between lives soul regression. And 2 of the participants in the workshop were sisters. Now, the structure of the between lives regression is that we start with some preliminary steps to help you relax physically and mentally. And then I guide the person into a past life. And then you go from the past life to the between life state where you talk to your counsel. Well, the two sisters go through the regression with everybody else in the workshop. And then the day came to an end. They told me about all of this the next day. When the workshop ended that day, they went out to dinner with each other. And of course, the first thing they said to each other was, well, what did you experience? And one of the sisters starts to tell the other about what happened in the past life. She was in England sometime in the late 1800s, I believe it was. And she starts to describe the people who were in her family, what the home looked like, what the kind of furniture was there, what the grounds around the home looked like. And as she's talking, her sister's jaw drops wide open. Her eyes get really big. And the woman who's speaking says, what's going on? Why are you reacting to my past life like that? And she said, I saw exactly the same past life you saw. And I was your mother in that lifetime. So she saw a past life in which she was the daughter in this household in England. The other sister saw the same past life and was the mother. But the point is, they saw the same home, they saw the same furniture, they saw the same furnishings, they saw the same people, they saw the same grounds around the home. I mean, that was mind-blowing for them. And it convinced them and a lot of other people that these between lives regressions are real. What you are seeing is real. It might feel dreamlike, it might feel like imagination, but there's no other explanation for what happened with the sisters.
Thank you for answering that question. I'm conscious that the conversation we're having, even, I don't want to say a decade ago, but yeah, maybe even a decade ago, which is not that long, like 10, 15 years ago, would have been shrouded in a lot more taboo than it is today. Do you think that's a reflection of the ascension plan that you were referring to earlier? Like, is that because we're ascending that more information like this is becoming more and more available? Because I feel like for some people, even now, they'd be holding on to some element of the taboo around, maybe I'm not meant to know what's going on. You know, I'm not meant to peer around the other side of the veil.
I do think it's related directly to the ascension process. And I think what's happening in ascension, this is my understanding, there's a lot of light direct from source flooding the planet. The light is causing the ascension process. And the light is also triggering a worldwide spiritual awakening. So the number of people who we could now describe as quote unquote awake is multiples of what it was just a very short time ago. I think it's an exponential growth curve, and we're somewhere toward that point on the curve where it's just really starting to take off. And I believe that over the next few years, there will be massive worldwide spiritual awakenings. When I say awakening, I mean simply coming into the awareness, the knowing that you're more than a body, more than a personality, more than your thoughts, more than your feelings. You're an infinite, eternal, non-physical being who's actually made of light. That's the gist of what I mean by awakening. And, you know, in terms of people saying, well, maybe I'm not supposed to know about this kind of information or know about my pre-birth plan, that was actually a concern I had 20 years ago when I first started on this path. And I spoke with Jesus about it in one of the channeling sessions I was doing as research for the first book. And essentially what he said was, don't worry about that, because if it's for somebody's highest good not to know about what you're putting in these books, then one of two things will happen. They'll just never hear about you or the book you're writing. Or if they do hear about it, it will strike them as nonsense. They'll quickly dismiss it and go on to something else. Either way, no harm is done. So just don't worry about it.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.